I don't know if there's anyone better than him.
If Ryan Papenhuyzen played for Newcastle or played for Queensland in game one, would have he made a bigger difference than Kalyn Ponga did? I think so too. So you're waiting for me to say something. I can see the anticipation.
Probably one guy that could feature on this list. And I want to know where you put him. Fletcher Sharpe.
Ooh.
Welcome to Ahead of the Game. It's Sports Pez Jez, Tux Sports Takes from bets.com.au, where we write sports content.
We do.
Game previews, tips and predictions, all that jazz. Free.
Yeah.
We don't do
All
it for
free.
free, but you can see it for free.
No. You can consume it for free.
Exactly. Jez, today, this episode's all about kicking off the NRL player ranking. It's going to do this for at least for the NRL and the AFL in a few different positions, work through and see if we are in line with how we rate the players in these two big codes of footy in our great nation.
Yes. So I'm excited about this one. It's going to be some good discussion.
All right. So
compared to all the other boring shit we have on the show.
Exactly. The setup is we're going to take fullbacks in the NRL first. I'm going to give you my list and how I've ranked them from 1 to 17. So what I've done is I've just taken one player from each team, and it's what I deem to be the incumbent fullback for that team, not maybe who's playing there right now, because depending on when you consume this episode, there could be a player that's injured or whatever. So it is what I'd say would be the number one fullback for the team, and they can only occupy one spot. So 1 to 17 it is. You ready for the list?
I'm ready for the list.
All right, let's go.
Oof.
All right, so I'm taking number one from the Melbourne Storm, Ryan Papenhuyzen. And it's funny because like part of the thought process around this is like, okay, you have your New South Wales fullback, your Queensland fullback, your Australian fullback, or your New Zealand fullback or whatever. And there's so many different things to value as well. What do you value as a fullback? Is it the defense, how they structure the line? Is it that they can back up? Is it their attack? Is it their kicking? Can they kick goals? Like there's so many different things to factor in. And this is kind of, what I've thought. Ryan Papenhuyzen is one of the best support players in the league. His defense is elite. He can goal kick. He can kick in general play, even though he doesn't do it very often because they have two great kickers in Jerome Hughes and Cam Munster and even Harry Grant. But he is an accomplished kicker. I don't know if there's anyone better than
him. That's a fucking big call, man. This is a crazy list already. Like, I'm shocked because you've obviously got, like, I don't know how we want to do this, how far we want to go down, but let's just even look at the top 5 guys you've got on that list. And you've got the New South Wales fullback in at number 4 on that list. And there's potentially 3 guys that are all New South Wales players above him on that list.
Yeah.
Like, and then even did Dylan Edwards even start at fullback for Australia in the last 2, like in some of these Pacific Island championships or the Pacific Championships, it's called, right? He at least featured in the Australian team. But either way, you've got 3 guys that are all from New South Wales that are higher on that list. So that's huge. Can you tell, like, how does Dylan Edwards rank less than Scott Drinkwater? Like, I can understand cases for James Tedesco and Papenhuyzen because I also, even like leading up to Origin, I could have easily picked those 2 guys over Dylan Edwards, especially if we're talking like the now leading into game 1 of 2025.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, Dylan Edwards could miss out here purely based on form and the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah.
But Scott Drinkwater, how does he rank higher than Dylan Edwards?
I surprised myself by having him there because I've been a detractor of Scott Drinkwater for so many years.
Yeah.
So I just thought he was an overrated player. But in the last couple of years, I think he's just gone up to another level. And I think the difference here is goal kicking. Like he's a very
Mm,
good goal kicker. And I think Dylan Edwards probably has him in game IQ and possibly even defensive structure. But I think
yeah.
Drinkwater is a much better support player and a better attacker. He's a better passer of the footy. So that puts him ahead for me. And I think when you talk about how they fit into a team and you look at maybe
Mm,
New South Wales, I think Dylan Edwards is a better fit into a team and maybe can adapt better on the run to being in that type of situation and with those other players and the specific skill sets you need. But if you're just looking at that player or these players and the skill sets they provide, totally, I think Drinkwater is just ahead of Dylan Edwards.
yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know. I value Dylan Edwards. I guess defensive and organizational capabilities probably a little bit higher, and see sort of that's maybe where Scott Drinkwater is yet to prove himself.
Yep.
Because you can see how extremely poor Penrith's defense has been, but how extremely poor the Cowboys defense has been in long periods over the last few years. But then I don't know. I guess my next bone to pick, if you're going to pull something out, even you go down to Queensland's fullback, and you've got Kalyn Ponga sitting extremely low there as well. What is it with
Seventh.
Pongster that you like that you see
Did
there's six guys ahead of him?
Did you watch Origin? Like, have you watched
I,
Newcastle for the last 2 years? Like, okay, he's a great player
yeah, but
in his own
mm,
right, 100%. If you put him out in a field by himself or against the under tens, he's going to rip them up. But he has he hasn't produced. He has not produced for a while, and I think there's a lot of talk about how good he can be and his potential, but
mm,
he's not he's not getting there, and whether or not it's that the team isn't putting him in that spot or he's not good enough to demand the ball in that spot or create enough, you there's no way you can tell me that any of those other guys that are above him have performed worse than him in this season so far, both at club level or at Origin, those that have played at Origin, or even arguably even in 2024.
mm. Yeah, like to be fair, I'm trying to think now. Okay, if Ryan Papenhuyzen would played for Newcastle or played for Queensland in game one, would have he made a bigger difference
I think so.
than Kalyn Ponga did? I think so too. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think that's probably where Kalyn Ponga, especially when you're putting it at the Origin level, it's like good players demand the ball, right, and get the ball in the right positions. And that was always the criticism of Queensland this year was, well, in game one was, okay, Kalyn Ponga didn't get the ball in the right areas. But if you're a world class player, if you can see sometimes Latrell disappears, but it feels like okay, when he gets the ball, he makes a direct impact, and it
Yeah,
almost feels like it's his decision when he wants to.
yeah,
It sort of feels like okay, this game he wants to get involved, so he gets involved. And I think the same with Tom Trbojevic as well. But we've saw a little bit with Tom Trbojevic now in Manly the last. I don't know. There was a couple of games there where he just didn't really have that impact that you expected he would have without Daly Cherry Evans giving him the ball. So, but yeah, to be fair, I don't know. Maybe even Dylan Edwards, you feel like he, especially in attack, can disappear in games, and he's
yeah,
done that for
yeah.
Penrith this year. He hasn't had that influence that he's had, but
Well,
yeah, I
Dylan
don't
Edwards
know.
isn't
But
a major creator of. So there's
no,
two different, like there's guys that will create for somebody else, or there's other guys that need something created for them, and then they'll produce. And like I
mm,
think Latrell is probably he's be one of the guys on this list that can do both.
yeah,
I would go to the length to say if you watch North Queensland, Drinkwater, he's getting guys through holes, and then every now and again he'll get himself through a hole, and then he'll have the last
yeah.
pass for a try. Like,
Look at you, you Drinkwater lover. What's happened?
I hate it. I hate it. but to an extent, I don't know if Ryan Papenhuyzen maybe is the creator type compared to what Latrell is, and like
No.
Latrell's those cutout passes he had. We're recording this not long after round 13, and
Mm.
the passes he had to put the wingers over for tries in the game against the Warriors, like they're
Warriors.
just mate,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
It feels like that part of his game has developed over the last couple of years when he hasn't had that same type of physical presence that he used to
Mm,
have. Like it feels like his touch is has just gone to another level over the last couple of years.
yeah.
It's which you've got to do, I guess, as you get older. Like we don't see Latrell as an old guy, but as you sort of get older, you don't have to be as physical. You use your brains and you use your touch. You see it a lot with halves, obviously.
Yeah. And I think that's a difference of why Latrell is probably so far down on this list, considering how good he
Mm,
is at creating and how clutch he can be. He's a little
mm.
bit lazy, and he's not the support player that any of the other people ahead of him are,
No, that's right.
and that is
Hundred
so
percent.
important for a fullback to be
Yeah,
trailing up the middle and getting those passes. So
yeah.
I think there's a pretty big canyon between kind of the top seven. So from Papenhuyzen, Tedesco, Drinkwater, Edwards, Mitchell, Trebojevic, and Ponga, the top seven
Mm,
fullbacks, and then the rest. I'd say there's a pretty
yeah,
big gap between those guys.
yeah. I think like yeah, I agree. I agree. No, no, no. You're waiting for me to say something. I can see the anticipation to throw another punch. But no, I think you're completely right because you're looking at the guys underneath. You can obviously make a case for Hammer in his prime, but he's also one of these guys that can. We saw at the start of the season for the Dolphins where he couldn't create anything. Like
Mm,
he's not one of these guys that can directly influence the game. He can influence a play or a set of six, but maybe not a whole game.
mm.
But then
His
I think sort
defense
of the only
doesn't.
guy you could possibly
His defense doesn't crack it
you
for
go
me. I think he has a lot
no
to be desired defensively, and that's why he's. I mean, his attacking prowess is fantastic, and his speed, and he can both pass and run. But his defense is.
mm. Because where do you sort of the only guy I think like you could possibly when they're playing at their best is Reece Walsh.
Yeah, yeah,
I think potentially when Reece Walsh is on fire, when he was hot for Brisbane in that period last year, the year before, yeah, the year before, really, when they made
yeah,
their run, he was unstoppable. He could like you saw even when he was playing for Queensland, the whole coming into that series was how do we stop Reece Walsh
yeah,
because like he can directly influence a game and from his own end from like inside 20, but as we've seen with Reece Walsh over the last couple of years is that he fades in and out of form incredibly
yeah.
a lot,
And that's
but I think
exactly
he's definitely
why.
could potentially be in that top tier.
Mm, yeah, 100%. And that's why he's at 11 right now. It's
Mm,
because exactly as you say, his best form was 2 years ago, and since then he
mm,
hasn't really reached those heights again on a consistent basis. So
mm.
yeah, unfortunately took a bit of battering because of that.
Yeah,
What do you think about
but
Gutho at 8?
I don't know. I'm a fan of Gutho. I think so.
Me too, apparently.
Like, yeah, I think like what Gutho brings to a team. You even see when with the Dragons now, like he's the core of that team already, and he's just joined. You
Yeah,
see, when things are going good, he's in the mix. He's exactly the same player that he was for Parramatta, where he's the absolute center. When they're down in the dumps and they've just let in 3 tries, it's Gutho in the huddle. He's the one screaming. He's the one barking orders. He's the one telling the boys to get up. Or when they're up by 3 tries, he's the one still yelling at the boys telling them that they've got to keep going and not lose focus. So, and he's like his defense, like Gutho's got to be one of the best goal line defenders in the NRL. Like even now when he's old, you see he's the one under the ball. He's the one making the big tackles, pushing guys over the sideline. So like I rate him definitely for that. And then you see what he can do in attack, but he's obviously not a guy that changes the game in attack like Drinkwater or Papenhuyzen. He still needs to be. He creates it with energy and effort, maybe not with pure skill and talent and explosiveness like the other guys. So
100%.
I'm happy with Gutho being at the top of that next tier for sure.
Yeah. I had some troubles of, Chance Nickel-Clockstad. I think his defensive efforts, I put him up quite high because of that. He's definitely not a massive creator. He's bounced around. He's played a bit in the halves. He played obviously wing a fair bit in the start of his career, but he's been in and out with injury. It's hard to get a consistent role on. But
Yeah.
when he has played like this season, and the majority of this ranking is just looking at this season played.
Yeah.
He's a supreme support player. He is quick, he's explosive, he hits holes, he has a good read on the game, and finds the try line.
Yeah. But
Similar
I think
to
he's
Hammer.
his touch out the back, I think, is also one of his greatest strengths. It's like you see he gets the try assist or the last touch when you're looking at Supercoach points because his ability to put his wingers in space and create that overlap is priceless for the Warriors attack. Like when they're attacking the line at their best, where they have sort of struggled a little bit this year, but it's a lot to do with Nico Clockstad and where he can find that overlap and get on the outside of his man to create the space for his winger to be able to dive over. So yeah, but it's a shame. It would be like he's one of those players where you think, okay, what could have his potential been if he stayed on the field for long periods of time? Like, he could definitely be a top tier fullback, like, a top 4 fullback for many seasons if he was able to stay on the field. It's the same sort of almost with Turbo. Think how good, what a dynasty Turbo would have. Like he already has like Hall of Fame caliber, or immortal caliber. But imagine if he was healthy for 24 games of the year for Manly. Like what sort of level he would have reached. One of the greatest of all time, you would think. But injuries just fuck it up.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any of this kind of from 12 down that you?
No, I'm happy with like a lot of that. Obviously, you could move guys around from 17th, 16th.
Yeah.
15th. Like I think you're ranking them in. Once you're getting down there, you're just sort of picking. What is it? Picking at straws? Is that what you're saying?
Clutching at straws.
I don't know what this clutching at straws. Clutching at straws.
Yeah.
But
So
picking straws is when you've got your different lengths. But I think, yeah.
After
I'm
Reece
happy
Walsh
with
in
it.
11th, we got KO Weeks in 12th, Isaiah Yongi 13, Jareem Buller at 14. I rate Buller as a quality player. I think his size helps immensely in defense. He's a strong runner. Again, just haven't seen enough of him competing at the highest level to warrant being higher. Will Kennedy down in 15th. Again, he could easily be 13th. It's not a lot. He's a smaller type of fullback, similar to Connor Tracy and who's below him and Keanu Kinney. They're great, good, just great. Not great, but okay. They're okay attackers. They're okay defenders. They do the job they need to do. They're not standout star performers. They're good fullbacks that do the job.
Yeah. Yeah. A game here and there. I think all of those guys on their day, all the way up to, say Kyle Weeks down, those guys can change a game, one game, like with their support play when they're on, but doing it consistently every week in and week out, you don't see it. No. So I think that's where the difference is on the guys above them, or say the middle tier of guys there, are guys that are regularly performing. But yeah, and you move them around however you like. Like we can nitpick, but I don't know. It was a good list.
I got one question for you before we sign off here. Now, there's obviously throughout the season,
Mm.
there's guys that go in and out because of injury. They get moved around. Probably one guy that could feature on this list, and I want to know where you put him. Fletcher Sharpe.
Oh, oh, Jesus. As a fullback.
As a fullback, just based on this year's performances, he's played a couple of games
Oh, it's a
there.
good question. Because Fletcher Sharpe, when Newcastle have been so shit and it hasn't sort of led them to wins,
Well,
but
not
like
last week, the week before they scored. I
I
think it was
rate
the
Fletcher
highest
Sharpe.
points.
Yeah, I rate him up there, man. Like he's got to at least be. Do you put him in the same spot as Ponga? He's got to be. He's got to be somewhere
I
there.
think the same. Yeah.
Yeah. You put him above maybe just on pedigree or pedigree's the wrong word, but you can't put him above Ponga. But I think you put him just under Ponga.
There you
Do
go.
you want to put him over?
Oh,
It's a big call.
I
Like
think
Ponga's Ponga, man. But
yeah. No, I think Ponga has the more experience in creating
yeah,
handling those defensive structures.
yeah. But Fletcher Sharpe as an attacker, man, he's a loose cannon. Like he just
Yeah.
creates, doesn't he? Like he's in
Yeah.
support or there's a little hole and he'll find it, can run at a broken line.
Mm.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. It's gonna be man, like Newcastle have like how are they the worst attacking team in the comp? Like you don't
Another
get it.
episode.
It's gonna be interesting to see
Another
how they go.
episode.
Another episode.
Find us, Sports Pez Tuck Sports Taste. Head over to bets.com.au for full game previews, tips, and predictions.
And hang with us and stay ahead of the game.